Hello, and welcome to the GRACE podcast series. My name is Denise Brock, and I am the Operations Director for the Global Resource for Advancing Cancer Education, or GRACE. In this podcast series, we interview patients, advocates, and healthcare professionals to provide the most updated information for our community and to highlight important issues facing those dealing with a cancer diagnosis. We hope you find this information valuable. For questions or comments, please visit us at cancergrace.org.
Another method of molecular testing is called quantitative polymerase chain reaction, abbreviated as PCR. Now, this is most useful when we're looking for very specific mutations or deletions. So some examples in lung cancer would be if we're looking for an EGFR L858R mutation or a BRAF V600E mutation. And on the left here is shown how we do PCR testing. I like to think of it as molecular photocopying. So what we're really doing in the most basic sense is we're saying there are some specific DNA areas that we're interested in knowing about. So let's say EGFR L858R, which is that mutation we mentioned earlier that we're interested in. We can develop some primers that can match that area of interest. We then denature the DNA by heating, because if you heat DNA to a high enough level, it'll denature and the strands will separate. And then there's these very unique enzymes called thermostable Taq polymerase that basically can create new strands of DNAs from the primers. And you essentially just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat until you get enough copies that you can detect what you're looking for. There are some limitations to PCR testing that's shown very nicely here by a presentation by Josh Baumel et al. That looks at a specific type of mutation called EGFR exon 20 insertions. And so this PCR method is great when you know exactly what you're looking for. What this paper showed very nicely is that you have a very diverse subset of mutations. So EGFR exon 20 isn't a single mutation, it's actually a huge group of different mutations that all happen to reside in the same region. And it's very difficult to design primers and probes to cover every possible alteration. And so this is a limitation of PCR testing.
Thank you again for joining us. This podcast was made possible by the generosity of sponsorship from our friends at Lilly and Exelixis. Please like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Send us feedback, share your story, donate, and visit us for more information at cancergrace.org. Thank you for listening.